Welcome to Trenchometry. If you have spent any time in or around the trenches, playing offensive line isn't just blocking, it is chess at light speed. You're controlling angles while a 280-pound defender tries to destroy your running back. Every snap, calculating leverage, mirroring footwork, and anchoring against pure violence. Miss one step and your franchise player gets flattened. We're here to discuss the most undervalued aspect of the game of football, the offensive line. Remember, you master the trenches, you win the war. My guest today is an accomplished football coach and trainer whose expertise in defensive strategy, player development, and elite performance training has earned recognition at the highest levels of the sport. His proven track record of transforming underperforming units into playoff contenders, combined with his dedication to athletic mentorship, has positioned him as a sought-after coaching talent. His growing reputation has led to an engagement with multiple NFL organizations. He has interviewed with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, the Green Bay Packers, the Tennessee Titans, the Philadelphia Eagles, demonstrating that his coaching philosophy and leadership approach resonate across the league. In addition to his coaching accomplishments, he's the founder of Level 99 Training, a program that develops athletes for college and professional success through position-specific skill building, strength and conditioning, and mental preparation. His ability to identify and maximize player potential has been recognized by both athletes and professional scouts. He was a standout defensive lineman at Gardner-Webb University and now channels his own field experience into shaping the next generation of football talents. His blend of technical expertise, leadership skills, and NFL-level exposure makes him a dynamic asset to any football program. Please welcome my guest today, Mr. Donovan Manning. Welcome, Donovan.
How you doing?
I'm doing great. This is cool, man. And then I didn't add this. I didn't put this in here, but I also wanted to add he won a state championship in South Carolina when he was in high school. So that's pretty cool. Anytime you get a chance to win a championship, no longer how long ago it was, it's worth mentioning and heralding because that's hard to do.
Yeah,
So,
I'm from a little old Gaffney, so getting the title, it's either state championship or bust. So
well, hey, I like the state championship version. I don't like bust in that. And
there you go.
those are my options. I want to do the championship, not the bust. I've done the bust. It's not as much fun. I've done the championship. It's way more fun. Well, that's fantastic. So Donovan, tell me a little bit about your playing background and what got you into football.
Okay. So I'll start out this way. So if you didn't know anything about me, I am actually I don't say a miracle birth, but I was born with necrotizing enterocolitis. That is like a disease that targets the intestines of premature babies. So started there. Wasn't expected to play any sports. Actually wasn't supposed to be normal at all, according to doctors. But let's just say doctors aren't always right.
No, thank goodness.
Yeah. And I ended up actually growing a lot. Was kind of one of the bigger kids throughout school. I had an older brother who actually played tight end and fullback at Gardner-Webb. So,
Oh,
kind of had somebody that was
footsteps to follow.
Yeah. And so when he started playing football, I wanted to so bad. So they got me into it at a young age. Then kind of just that football culture, especially when you live in a small town. My actual high school actually has the most state championships in South Carolina. So they're at 18. So
Wow.
So growing up in that culture through Little League, middle school, high school, you kind of get ingrained in it.
Mm-hmm.
And as you go along, if you do the right things, you take care of yourself, do the right things in the classroom, everything will take care of itself.
Yeah.
And I just took it from there, got into it. This is a funny story. I was actually an offensive lineman and a defensive lineman all throughout my whole entire career until college, which is funny that I started offensive line more than I did defensive line in high school and then got recruited to play defensive line. Yes.
It's not, you're the mirror image of what normally happens, right? Normally they get recruited as a defensive line, they get flipped over to the offensive line. So you lived the opposite story there.
Yes. And it was kind of odd because, the whole time when I was playing offensive line, I'm going to be honest with you, I didn't want to do it when I first got moved. I was like, no, I don't want to do this, because the stereotype. Offensive linemen are slow, they're big. And then there was one coach, he pulled me to the side. He actually coached in college. He coached at Division II Tuskegee at the time, but he was our linebackers coach at our high school. And he pulled me to the side and he said, Donovan, all you got to do is just make the position yours. He was like, you ain't got to worry about getting recruited or anything like that. He said, if you play hard at the position you're at, somebody will offer you a scholarship. And so I took that. All the
brilliant. That's brilliant advice
Yeah.
from your coach right there.
Yeah. And he's actually coaching at lower state of South Carolina, Lugo Elgin. He's the head coach now. So, but I took that advice and kind of just made the position my own. When you talk about having a lot of plays that involve trap, counter, A lot of pull plays, you get to showcase your speed, good angles. Are you taking the right angles when you're pulling? Are you, hitting them on the outside, getting a head across, like those
Mhm.
type of things? That's what kind of built it. And I was fast. I had good feet, could run, was not a, sloppy, out of shape guy. So when coaches saw that, it was like, oh, he's kind of explosive.
Yeah.
So that kind of what led to that.
That's what got you your sexy pass when you got to college.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So after high school, well, during high school, I was recruited by several programs. I was recruited by Appalachian State early. Fun fact, the offensive line coach that was recruiting me from Appalachian State now works for the Atlanta Falcons, Dwayne Lefford.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, so he liked me for the O-line at App State, and then the defensive line coach was recruiting me there, and it was kind of like a tug of war. Eventually, I didn't choose there. That was at the time when Jerry Moore retired, so
Mm,
kind of
mhm.
lost that offer when he left out. So, but Gardner Webb ended up offering me a scholarship. Of course, my brother was there, and so that was a no-brainer at the time. I already knew the coaches, was already around the program, so that kind of took care of itself.
Well, and they had back during that time, they had kinda started to build they had some momentum going back then, if I remember correctly, right?
Yeah, so
About the time Jerry Moore was heading out.
yeah, I actually, so when I went on my visit there, I remember because who was Coach Sloan was there at the time. Coach Satterfield, well, he was about to come in. That's what it
Mhm,
was.
mhm,
And so I went on 2 visits, and then on the 3rd go around, they kinda called everybody and told the whole situation, so then I was like, I might reopen my recruitment. That was just a personal decision because I went to camp there during the summer. I was kinda upset because I lost a few reps. I'm a huge competitor, so when I
mhm,
lose, it's not it's not good. And Coach Moore kinda pulled me to the side and, like, talked to me like, "Hey, you're not gonna win every rep. That's a fantasy that we like to believe, but
mhm.
you got to take it in stride." And so, like that connection, or him actually kind of being there and being that type of head coach, that's what I was looking for. And then, I feel like things don't happen by mistakes. When I get to Gardner Webb, one of the coaches actually went to App State, Coach Randall McCray. He was my defensive coordinator. And talking about a fiery guy, knows football, knows X's and O's. He was really the guy that, at first, you kind of like, I don't really like him. He's one of those guys you don't really take to him a lot because he's so hardened and he's so tough on you. But then when
Mhm.
you get out, you kind of appreciate that. Like, so I kind of took that and got out in the real world, started working. I'd been branch manager at Enterprise at the time, literally worked at BMW as a controller, and just I was missing something, and football was that catalyst I was missing. So started reconnecting with some old coaches. And in the city I worked in, they had lost their football program at East Rutherford in North Carolina.
Mhm.
And then the head coach walked into my Enterprise. He saw my jerseys hanging up. And so he asked me, he was like, "Do you play football or did you play?" And I was like, "Yes, sir, I did." He was like, "Well, I'm starting back up a football program. We need some coaches." I said, "Well, I've never been on that side, but I'll think about it." He was like, "You should
Yeah.
just give it a shot." Took it from there. They had some kids that really just needed some growth and development. Because the year before, the prior years, they didn't have anything but like a JV team and a ninth grade team. Varsity football was non-played I think for a year and a half, I want to
Oh.
say. And we brought it back. First year, we took some lumps. We went 1-9. Then the second year, we went 6-5.
Oh,
And
wow.
then that 3rd year, I had exited the program for my new job. But that 3rd year, they actually went 8-2 and then beat the number 1 team in North Carolina in the playoffs. Yes. So it
Nice.
was a build up from there. And so that's how I got into coaching.
So your new job, are you primarily coaching now? Are you primarily running your institute, or
So I do that, but
fill the dots in there for me. Tell me what happened
okay.
in the meantime.
So right now I'm actually going back to school. I'm
Oh.
actually a middle school English teacher right now. So yep, trying to get into high school football coaching. During the year, you got to pay the bills. So
Mhm.
that's why I'm at
Understand
with it
that.
and getting some more education. This year I coached middle school ball to help out at the middle school, and we did fairly well. Went to the second round of the playoffs. It was a good middle school team. They was pretty decent. But it's in Shelby, North Carolina.
Okay. Okay.
Mhm.
So as part of your institute that you got going, your 99,
Level 99? Yeah.
level 99. There we go. Sorry about that.
You good?
It just flew out of my mind. So at level 99, you're working with guys on both sides of the ball.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So we don't want to talk about the don't be offended, but we don't want to talk about the stinky guys, the eat boogers, the D line man. Like those guys, we got to focus on the right side, right? The bright side. I call it the white side and the dark side, or the you know what I mean? Like the stormtrooper side is what the bad guys over there. We're the rebels. We're trying to do it right. So when you see these young guys and you did middle school, so I mean, this is like the root, bottom line, base foundation type stuff. What are you
Mhm.
trying to teach those guys out there on the middle school field? Because like their attention span, they're chasing butterflies and everything. I'm assuming, right?
Yeah. So, most of the time with those middle school guys, I feel like as coaches, we got to pull back, because we get so in depth because we're used to how our mind thinks.
Mhm,
And that was something I had to learn because I jumped straight out of playing per se into coaching, at the high school level. And still that knowledge and stuff you gain, you want to use, but it might not be the time for that.
mhm,
So me, dialing it back and having to go to middle school, after high school was kind of just a blessing within itself. It, kind of taught me how to, coach from the ground up. And so with those middle school kids, basically we work start stance, because most of the time kids can't give you the proper stance in today's
mhm.
age. Like you go out to any random like little league team and stuff, and you'll see kids like toe wide legged and lean forward, bad posture.
Yeah,
And I tell guys that leads to injury. Like, you might think it's comfortable right now, but like you're not gonna be in a good position. And on the worst side of that, you're gonna have some bad plays. You can't come out your stance.
that's right.
So that's how we start off, like starts and stats. And then I go into like hand placement, like because now offensive linemen can, use your hands. You can
Yeah.
block inside shoulder pads. Like you can grab here. As long as it's not out here and you keep your feet in place, you can do it. We actually made a joke about it. My high school coach, Coach Dan Jones, he's retired now. He was at Gaffney. He was the head coach. We were joking a few weeks ago. He said, Don, I remember back in the day, you had to block like this and you you couldn't
Chicken
grab.
wings.
Yep.
Yeah.
I kind of,
And
laughed, but
Donovan, you say that. I went back. We had this is probably dang, this is probably my second or third to last season. And I had a bunch of offensive linemen and they weren't real big and they weren't real strong. And so we're going to play this team up in Lehigh Acres, which usually has some real big dudes and they're usually very athletic and very talented athletes. And I kept looking at their defense line. I said, we're gonna get I got no shot. Like, I mean, these guys were gorillas. I mean, they were big, athletic, strong looking dudes. I said, we got no shot. So I went back to teaching. We did flipper blocking and I implemented it that game. We spent all week flipper blocking. And by the time we got to the game, my little dudes got on their hips and we just flipper blocked them right out of the way. And they were so frustrated by the end of the game because we didn't go face to face with them. We were just on their hips and flipper blocking. There is every once in a while those old school techniques that they
mhm.
work out. They're tried and true, right?
Yeah. But
So you're
yeah,
teaching
that's
hand placement to these guys, to these young
yes.
guys. And how are you doing shields? Are you on sleds? What's the technique that you're using? What kind of drills are you doing to get those guys developed?
So for me, I'm actually a hands-on coach. I will say this. You will see me in the videos getting interactive. I have some extra shoulder pads that I actually put on just so they can, get a technique feel. And
Yeah,
I'll
oh, yeah.
actually get there and let them grab, the shoulder pads. Let's like see where you go. Like place your hands,
Yeah.
close them a little bit, get a good stern grip, heavy hands. I said, this is what I want. Grab. And I was like, I want you to sit up. So I work on posture.
Mhm,
So if I give them force, their posture is still sitting up, they're still here, and they have to move with me. Wherever
mhm.
I press, that's where they fight. So we stand in front of blocks and we're moving with our feet under. It's like the control aspect and having them knowing how to do something, especially at a young age, I feel like most guys are hands on. You can't just draw it on the board or break it down step by step and say, hey, go do it. Like they'll be lost, aimlessly running around. I feel like just that piece is what's missing from the O line, especially at a young age today.
Mhm.
Like you'll get offensive linemen, like they might be good, but all they know is run forward. Like you said, we're playing offense. We don't just want to run forward. When it comes to pass pro, do you know how to move? Like, do you know how to keep your body presence to the point where you're not turning your shoulders?
Yeah.
Like, those type of things. And so when I'm with those middle school kids, we kind of break it down to the T, which they have gotten it. We actually had a pretty good, you know, pass rating as far as, getting the ball out because we ran a true spread with a
Oh,
QB.
really? At the middle
Yes.
school level, huh? Oh, wow, that's impressive.
Yeah, and those kids, they actually caught on pretty fast. We didn't give up too many sacks. I will say that. Of the times they did, it was kind of just getting their head over themselves and they getting
Mhm.
push pulled, that type of thing. But once we corrected it, and I told them about stabilizing the body, kind of tighten that core. Get your hands underneath like that and just move your feet. Just breaking it down to its simplest form. And then on slide protection, when we're protecting one way, just remember to snap your head back, kind of look out your peripheral and see who's coming. So,
Yeah.
like, pretty basic stuff now for them.
Yeah, but it's funny you say that because you'll turn on a game on Saturday afternoon or Sunday afternoon, Monday night, and you're watching and same problems. Guys
Yeah.
get their heads out over their skis and they get their feet pointing in, like you said, when they get in the stance, they got their feet pointing in different directions and they lose their hips and they can't because they got no base underneath them and they get pushed right back into the quarterback's lap. It doesn't, from what are they, 12, 13 in middle school, all the way up
Mhm.
to 33 years old. They got the same gosh darn problems the coach is trying to fix. It never gets removed. It's the
Yeah,
same issues.
yeah.
And
So
it starts back then.
you're absolutely right. Like I even tell them, like I love the fact that, and this might come from me teaching both sides, but like I tell guys, like even offensive tackles, like we'll have some kids that I know, even on the defensive side, that will work moves, and
Mm,
they're so shocked when I tell them how to defeat the move, and like some of the defensive guys get up and be like, "Hey, stop saying that! Like stop telling our secret."
that's
And
my
I'm like,
job.
it's coaches. Like one of the guys kept hitting one of the offensive tackles with a cross chop. And I told him, I said, hey, with his cross chop, if he's going outside to you, I said, go ahead and bait him with that hand. As soon as he cross chops, you stab on that hip.
Yeah.
Once you stab on the hip, push him right by upfield. And and the guy looked at me, he was like, hey, coach, you supposed to be.
Yeah. Giving
So,
away the tricks of the trade there, but
yeah.
you want your guy to look good.
And so, like, I think the same way that these trainers are teaching these D linemen, which has become a huge pass rush thing, but I think the same can apply for offensive linemen. You just have to know how to teach it. Because for every move that I teach on defense, I probably can counter that move.
Mhm.
With spin moves, I tell kids, like, don't get off your toes. If he's trying to spin, just move with him, move the hands and the feet. Like,
Yeah.
it's very simple. Cross chop, bait him with one hand, push him upfield. Like, those techniques and stuff I think aren't drilled enough, especially when you go into higher levels. Not
Yeah.
saying just in middle school. When you go into high levels, I don't think they're drilled enough. We always go to the same regular getting up this way. But I tell people that's not been one of my favorites. The drill where they go like this and then go up,
Yeah.
because I think the leverage game is kind of taken out of it. You kind of just getting up high. And, like if I'm a D lineman and I want to stay low, I'm just going to get in your chest and then push you on back.
Yeah, you're gonna
So
be
I've, there
above
you
it.
go.
You'll be above his head or his chest or whatever. It won't be any good.
Yeah, so I kinda taught my offensive lineman, what I'm saying, to stay within that position, kinda almost like not a duck walk, but kinda low,
Mhm.
and then we gradually get up, but we shouldn't be above his actual head. Like, we shouldn't be standing straight up to the point where we're like this and our hands are up. Where are your
Yeah.
hands at? Now you look like this with your hands below your nipples, and now we stuck. So, like, that's probably one of my biggest pet peeves.
That's phenomenal. So you're teaching I would call that combatives is what we would call
Mhm.
that. So you're teaching them combatives. You're talking about windmilling the hand out, hitting the hip, or if you get the pushing if they pull on that shoulder, you're pushing and countering pressure with a push and then trying to stab them in the armpit if they're swimming over the top. All those things. That's good, man. If they're learning that early, they're gonna be phenomenal when they get to high school.
Yeah, like there's a kid now that I actually train. His name's Luke Bradburn. He's actually just turned 12, but he's almost like 6'1".
Ooh,
Plays offensive tackle. Yeah, yeah.
he needs to move
Down
to
in
Naples, Florida.
and he's actually, I mean, great footwork, kid, super athletic. He plays for a football university like the
Oh, yeah.
national team. And they wanted him to play tight end because he has good feet. But
Mhm.
he's like, you see his features, the kid, like he's big. Like you could see that he's going to be a pretty dominant offensive tackle, which the plays and the film that I've seen, that's where he's going to be. So,
So you said he plays for the FBU team, what is it, under
yeah,
14? Is that what it is? So he may be down here that we have the FBU championships down here in
yep,
Naples is where so
yep,
he might be down here playing.
yes, sir.
That's phenomenal. That's good stuff. I might have to go check him out. You said his name was Luke?
Yep, Luke Bradburn. Yep.
Luke Bradburn. All right, might have to come out there and check him out on the FBU fields because they'll be coming down here a couple weeks. So it's probably
Yep.
2.5 weeks away. They'll be down here doing their games. That's
Hmm.
awesome. All right, coach. So when you get those guys out there and you're working on the stances and the foundation and the bases and the steps and all that kind of stuff. What's your next drill that you're going to? What's your second drill that you're going to go get them into? What are you emphasizing with them?
First steps, I would say steps and directional. So just like any opposite side of the ball, I do the same thing with offense, taking first steps. Like I tell them, we don't want to take a huge step. Like we're not going out and like if it's zone, of course. Like if I'm telling you to get there out there on the outside,
Mhm.
shoulder the defensive end or something like that, yeah, you need to get on your horses. But if we're just taking regular steps out, we don't need to be super far overextended to where we off balance or he can just easily pull us and snatch us.
Yeah.
And so we'll work through those steps, whether it be to the right, to the left, and kind of have a board, like the end of a board, maybe a
Mhm.
hurdle, whatever, and just
Mhm.
have them take that first step with a little bit of explosion, just coming out. Boom, first step, first step, first step. Then on that second step, we're bringing the hands to it. So boom, boom, hands straight to it.
Yep.
That way, if we're run blocking, anything like that, which I think has become I'm not going to say a dinosaur, but everybody's obsessed with the pass.
Yeah.
Like it's a passing league, it's a passing league. But when you get a team that can just dominate the run game and consistently run it down, like people don't know what to do.
It's discouraging. Yeah. It's funny. It's funny you mentioned that, Coach. I was just looking at today. I was looking at a Coach Gruden has a really cool Barstool series where he gets into the nitty gritty of stuff. And this one episode I was watching today, it was about the call sheets that they have on the sidelines. And he had a call sheet from when he was with, I think it was with Green Bay. I think it was either Green Bay or Philadelphia. I don't remember which team it was, but it was early in his career, like 1993 or 4 or something like that. And he showed it. He was like, "Hey, this is how I break it down, and these are the categories and all that kind of stuff," which is fascinating to me. I've always been a fan of game night sheets because I think it's important to have a good one. And you looked at it and it was like, I don't know, maybe 15, 17 runs, and it maybe had a bunch of pass plays on it, but it was like, let's say it was like 14-point font, right? So then fast forward to his last year when he's with the Raiders. This is probably 25, 6, 7 years later, right? The font was about 8-point font. They had 50 pass plays. They had maybe 20 run plays, but it was 50 pass plays for base pass plays. And then he had another 30 pass plays for third and long. And it was just, it was all crunched down. And he said he needed glasses so he could see how the small font, like magnifying glasses type thing to see the font with. It's funny you say that because in 27 years, it's gone from like this many pass plays to 2 sheets front and back with pass plays on it. And then, you look at Coach from the Broncos and he's got, his board looks like a poster board you have for like a car wash or something hanging out there. So I think you have good insight there and good observations for sure about how that thing has changed. But you guys are running the spread, but you're running the ball out of the spread, I'm assuming?
Yes, we do. We do. We have kind of a QB that could use his legs a lot.
Mm.
So we would kind of switch up the formation and packages just depending on who we played for the week. But when you have that, and I think that's a part of it too. When you talk about these, especially in the time with dual threat quarterbacks, you have to train these offensive linemen to kind of flip a switch on and off. Because I think the one thing that I hated when I played O-line was I played with a running quarterback. And you sitting back there and you just pass block.
Mm-hmm.
And then all of a sudden he'll take off. So now it turns into a run. So now he's kind of weaving and trying to find his way, and you got to get your hat on somebody. And so that's why I always tell kids, like, have your head on the swivel. That doesn't mean just stand around. Because I said, if this guy sees a lane, he's probably going to take it.
Yeah. And
then you'll see like all the offensive linemen just standing around instead of putting a hat on somebody. We actually made a drill, kind of like a scramble drill, where we would have the defense lined up, offense would go, guy was a shotgun, he would drop back, take a play, sit there, we count it, and then we just tell the defense like to run, you know what I'm saying? Try to go get the quarterback. And the offensive lineman would have to trail and go pick up somebody. That way they don't even know it's coming. It's just a little signal the defense sees, and then they have to react to it.
Yeah. Fine work.
And so I feel like that's been hugely beneficial to my offensive linemen, like on just from a coaching standpoint at the, high school and middle school level.
That's hard. You don't know where the ball is. You're not really watching all that stuff. So you kind of have to react. You're forced to react off the defender's reactions as he sees what's happening. So you got to be able to read him to know where the ball's going so that you can create leverage on that block and create space, always wanting to try to create space for the ball carrier. That's tough. That's a good job. I like that the kind of like just pulling it out as you go and trying to develop that skill. That's hard to develop. So you have a drill for that. That's good. That's good stuff.
It took a while to get the kinks out.
Especially, I got to think that everything, like I'm thinking about this from like I say elite, but a really good high school program, and then going down to the middle school program, like just the learning styles, what the bandwidth for what they can take in during the time period that you have them. You got them for an hour. Their attention span's probably 4 minutes at a time, and so you got to teach in 4 minutes and do the drill in 4 minutes. That's hard. That's like you're truncating all your time. And then you got to switch it because they can't do something for 8 minutes. You got to switch it every 4 minutes.
Yeah. So I think our head coach, he did a great job, Coach Woods. He literally would give us, so we would have days, so in middle school practice, we would have days where we go, one day is full defense, one day is full offense. And then we have a joint, split half and half. That way guys are retaining information. We got enough time. We're not just running through practice.
Yeah.
Because I think on one end, because I have been at some places where the practice feels rushed. You know what I'm saying? And you're like, okay, we want to win. We want to do this right. But why are we rushing through practice like we just ready to go home. Like, you know,
Yeah. Your
um,
hair's on fire the whole practice trying to get
yeah,
it done.
yeah.
Yeah, so
And
true.
I just think that's a detriment, to the kids and to what you try to get accomplished. Because if they're not retaining information, if we go in like 10, 20, 30 seconds of one drill, then we switch it to the next one, and those kids aren't retaining
Mm-mm.
anything, especially at a young age.
Mhm.
They're just going through the motions. And then when you get out on Friday night or whatever the case may be, it's like, what are we doing? Well, they
Yeah.
didn't have enough time to retain the information that you were trying to tell them.
And it's not how much, it's always we've always said this, it isn't how much standing on the sidelines.
Mhm,
That doesn't do jack for you. It's how much the kid knows is standing on the 40-yard line is what matters. And so if you gotta slow it down and take the time to make sure they got it, then,
mhm,
we always started the week with, like, say, 45 plays that we were gonna run. And by
mhm.
Wednesday, definitely by Wednesday, we had pruned it down to somewhere in the 20, mid 20 range. There were 10
Okay.
plays that got cut, and they'd run it once, and it might have just been a fumbled snap or whatever, but we didn't run it. Didn't run it on
Mhm,
Tuesday, so it ain't happening on Friday. I'm not gonna
mhm,
do something Friday we haven't done Monday, Tuesday, or Wednesday. So
mhm.
if you're gonna prune it down and slow it down, then be great at 2 things
Yes,
instead of terrible at 15 things, right?
absolutely.
I think we you and I agree on that one. I think you're a wise
Mhm,
man for observing that for sure. Again, it goes back to the middle school thing too. Those guys, they have such a small bandwidth and not a small bandwidth, but a narrow bandwidth for being able to retain stuff that you
mhm.
have. That's 9/10 of the battle right there. It's just making sure they know what they know. Holy cow! So as you guys are, you're calculating all this stuff. You're trying to overcome all these obstacles, the attention span, the time, the lack of knowledge and experience in life, the lack of athleticism for some of these guys. They haven't hit puberty yet. They haven't had their testosterone hit. They might be
Mhm.
weak or slow or uninterested or scared. I'm sure that's something too. I think that having them overcome being afraid of something might be a task that they have to do regularly.
Yeah, the size factor always comes into play.
Mm,
I think most of those kids, and I tell them, like, especially smaller kids, I'm like, your leverage will win every time. And by that, I mean, like, if I got a smaller guard and I got a big defensive tackle, I'm like, hey, just take your steps, stay low. I said,
mhm.
most of the time, these young guys, they're going to give you their chest right off the rip because they're going to come off the ball, standing straight up. I said, lock on, use your hands. As soon as you come out, 1, 2, you see the chest exposed. You see this big, almost like a triangle, boom, straight to it.
Lock
And I'm
on.
like, stay low.
That's agreed. I mean, that's great. That's great coaching, and then do what you do well a lot, and minimize what you don't do well a lot, and you're going to be you get a lot
Mhm.
of success, which is good, and teaching them what to recognize. That's phenomenal, Coach. What is a drill that you have encountered that you don't necessarily think it's worth doing? Is there something you see a lot of coaches doing, and you're like, why do you keep doing that drill? I don't see the value in it. Is there anything that pops in your mind when you think about things like that?
I would have to say because I've seen a lot. Of course, like being a trainer, and I tell kids this, you need to go every time and learn something. If
Mm,
you're not getting anything from the training, or if that person is kind of, I'm not gonna say maxed out of what they know, and that's why I tell trainers and coaches alike, learn as much as you can from
mhm,
anybody. Learn as much as you can because some stuff is getting so watered down to where it makes the good coaches seem like, he don't know what he's doing because this drill might be so simple, but it's like just because everything is complex doesn't make it a good drill for football.
mm,
I think I don't say, well, the thing that I don't think translates, like I said, was the one where they're coming up and it's not teaching leverage. That's probably the biggest
got it.
one that I've seen
Yeah,
colleges do it, when they're getting their hand on the ball and they're coming up like this. And I'm like, but it's teaching bad things because number one, we're not grabbing with our fingers. We got our hands up like this. It's teaching bad habits. It's getting
mhm,
underneath, but we're not grabbing and glitching on. Most of the time when I'm grabbing a guy and I'm playing offensive line, yeah, I'm here, but I'm actually here because if I'm sitting back like this, I can't move from side to side, and now
yeah,
it's a problem.
yeah, you're
You know,
leaning in.
and I feel like
I agree, that's
some of the little stuff, just with your wrist. Like some guys, I'll see some guys with their wrist. They'll come off the ball and they'll push like this. You'll break all your wrists if you're pushing like this. Like, and I was like, guys, change it. Here, here, grab. I said, when you grab levers or you grab a handle that you're gonna pull down, you pull like this, or you pull
yeah,
like this, or push up. I
yeah,
said, guys, never in our life are we gonna do this.
And you compress that way with your thumbs down, you're compressing. Thumbs up, you can lock out, and you have to literally snap your arms the wrong way in order for that to break. And I've never,
Mhm,
I mean, I've seen some guys hurt their elbows, and I guess I have seen some arms break that way, but not
mhm.
many compared that way. That's smart. That's good insight to make sure that they have thumbs up, and you got a good base thumbs up, and you're coming down low, pad under pad. The pup, we always say pup, pad under pad is
Okay.
going to win every time. And so you got little dudes and you got big dudes. You got probably the whole rainbow of kids out there as far as size goes, because some
Oh,
grow fast and some don't grow at all.
yeah, and it's kind of a confidence thing. I'm gonna be honest. Like I tell kids like all the time, like I can teach you all the technique in the world, but if you have zero confidence, you probably won't use it. You
Yeah.
probably won't use it
Is
because you
there
don't.
anything you like? Is there a way that you go about kind of trying to build confidence in some of those guys?
Yes, and I mean, I don't wanna call it staging, but, like, sometimes, like, with their levers and pulls, like, I think them going against me kinda helps them,
Mm,
especially for younger kids, because they'll see me, like, they'll be see working out, "Oh, Coach Man is kinda strong," like, and then they'll give them the confidence because, like, if they can push me and sometimes I'll drop my weight on them just a little bit, and I'll say, "Hey, push me back,"
yeah.
like, "Push me back," and I'll say, "Hey, there's not a guy out here probably that's not heavier than me in middle school." High school, you might find some, but middle school, no, and it'll kinda build that confidence, which I think high school, there is some confidence issues, but most of the time it's that middle school gap that causes it. And like getting them to pull, put leverage and getting themselves under, and it's with me with pads on, I'm a heavy guy, I'm probably like 285, 290. So they have to be able to move, and like I'll drop my weight and see how far they can press because ultimately you're pushing like the strength is in your legs and your hips.
Hmm.
Let's be honest. I mean, you do want them to have arm strength. I'm not knocking it, but it's in your legs and your hips. And I tell them, I said, if you guys can build a strong lower body, your upper body will be with you. I
Hmm.
promise. And I was like, that's all the leverage is. Being able to step, turn, get underneath, get across. Football is nothing but angles and leverage.
That's right. Yeah, angles and leverage. I mean, that's why I named my podcast Trenchometry. It's about the geometry of the trenches and the angles and the leverage that you have and calculating that and the aiming point, going to where they're going to be and getting there, how
Mhm,
fast you want to go to get to that point on the field. I always called it occupying the high ground. If you are going to block a linebacker, you don't go where he is, you go to where he's going to go. And I call that the high ground. We want to fight from on top of the hill, and that's the high
mhm,
ground that you're going to get to. And make that guy run uphill to get to you. He's either gonna run
mhm,
around you or underneath you. Worst case scenario, you fall down and trip him and we win. Like,
mhm,
that works. Like,
mhm.
make sure you know where you're going. So, I couldn't agree more with you, coach. That's phenomenal insight there too. Okay, so as you guys are going through that week and you're prepping them for their game and they are doing their first steps and you kind of are developing that muscle memory with them with the one step and then bring it back and step and step. Those are all phenomenal drills to build off of. And then do you work them? Do you guys, are you doing duo blocks? Are you getting together and comboing? Are you talking about where their eyes should be? Are those things that you touch on with the guys as well?
Yeah, we do. We do work on those type of things. Just making sure that they, sometimes we'll even work double teams. We'll work, like I don't want to say there is a play that we do cuts and stuff like
Mhm,
that. I'll try to switch it up a little bit. Like I'll tell them like when I say combo, like they want to know the difference between combo and double team. And I told them what I call combo is you're here, but you're gonna come off. You're
mhm,
gonna get off of him and go up to the next level. And I'm like, when you stay there, I'll actually have them count, like especially middle school. Like I was like, at least give him 2 seconds. And I say one Mississippi. And when you say two Mississippi, you should be moving. You should be moving off of it. I was like, if we pressing if we going with the right foot that we're supposed to, we're getting underneath them with leverage. We should move them out the way, at least 2 or 3 steps out the way. He should be able to take over by then.
mhm.
If not, we got a problem. But you kind of live and die by those rules. So just to
Yeah,
get them at that level, I try not to make it too complicated for them. Just because if I give them too much information, then it's like it'll go to where it's not supposed to go.
yeah, 3 things. You get 3 things. You don't need to know more than that. And you think about it, you gotta get in a stance, you gotta get the snap count and know which foot to step with. You about maxed them out right there, and
Yeah.
they haven't even performed the block yet. That's true. Oh, man. So, as you're teaching those like, that's insight right there too, that you're teaching them just the basics, like what a combo is, what a double team
Mhm.
is. There is a difference. A double team, the guys, you're staying on that guy. You're sinking 2 fish on 1 guy and making sure that he doesn't move. You are
Mhm.
eliminating him from the problem solving right there. He's going to be gone. And so those are little things like you take for granted that a guy gets to high school, he understands those things, but that's only because you got him out there you're developing that knowledge base, not just the skill
Mhm,
set, not just the technique, but also the informational knowledge base that they need to be successful offensive linemen and know what the next guy is going to talk about. Which
mhm.
is, I mean, and then they got to remember all their spelling words from science class or whatever too. So like it's getting in there, mixed in there somewhere too.
Yeah.
Man, I've never coached. I coached middle school baseball one year, really, really, really early in my career, and I haven't been back to that level since. And didn't when my kids were in middle school. I didn't. I helped
Mhm.
out a little bit. I didn't really coach that much with them when they were in middle school. I kind of let the other coaches kind of do that and stayed out of the way. I don't want to overshadow anybody, but I don't have a whole lot of expertise. Like I'm. This is cool because I don't have a whole lot of insight and expertise. At that I'm imagining putting myself in that situation and what that would be like. Okay. So what's your favorite like scheme to use with those guys?
Ooh, I would have to I wasn't a fan of at the middle school level for me, and you have to get along with other coaches because our coaches, like, they weren't guys that hadn't played. Like, our OC played at Southern, Southern University, and
Oh,
like
okay.
he was the QB. Most quarterbacks that are OCs, they wanna
Sling it
they want
around. Yeah. I
yeah. So
understand.
I'm the type of guy, I might go, 10, 11 personnel, that type of thing, and we stay in that or do whatever we need to do. He's the type of guy that might go three wide,
Mhm.
quads, he want to air the ball out. And I'm the type of guy that, like, we need to be a balanced offense.
Mhm.
Like, we don't need to get hit. And there's some games that we got in where I thought, like, hey, we probably should keep the ball on the ground. But, I always tell people, like, I'm one of those coaches. I'll try to make the best situation out of what you give me, especially if I'm an assistant.
Yeah.
I'll try to make the best situation out of it. So if you come out and you want to go three wide, I'm probably telling my offensive tackles, they know it's pass. We've been doing it for the past. Just be on high alert,
That's right.
like, and I think one part too, and people don't talk about this, getting your running back inserted into offensive line schemes.
Mm.
Like, people don't understand this. Like, the reason why I say that in slide protection or any kind of thing where he has to step up, most of those running backs don't know where to insert themselves.
Yeah. I agree
They'll
with you
look
there.
around at you.
I think a big thing too is one of the things that I got to later in my career is walking through plays with guys. In the high school level, we would lift weights 3 days a week in season. So we were lifting Monday, Tuesday,
Mhm,
Wednesday. Well, as we got towards the end of the season, into the playoffs, we would turn some of those workouts into walkthroughs. So I'd
mhm.
have a script. We go out and walk through the script. But I think it's important for the running back not just inserting on the pass plays, but to see where the blocks are actually happening
Oh, yeah.
or where they should happen and at least be able to chart a course based on where it should be happening. And I think
Mhm,
at the low level, that seems to me like that would be something that would be super valuable for those guys so that they could see, "Hey, the double team's going to be there. I need
mhm,
to brush the tail of the double team and favor that because that's where the space is going to be. That's where they're going to create the movement and create a lane for me to get under."
mhm. And, like, even though in, like, your screenplays, those type
Mm,
of things, like, we would have certain screens that would, designed for the running back because we knew he was fast. Like, hey, and we would kinda use a size advantage. He was a shorter running back.
mm,
We had some taller O linemen. We'd be like, "Hey, just duck under them. They're gonna move, take it, and go." And, like, he wouldn't know where his blocks are coming from because I was
mhm.
like, "Hey, if we're telling you the screen is going this way and it's to the left," I'm like, "Hey, your blocking is probably gonna be which way?" I
Over
was like,
there.
"These guys are
Yeah.
stopping, and they're going this way, so catch it and keep going."
Yeah.
I think our running backs like to cut away from the blockers, and then
Back
they're
to the
like,
middle
"Oh,
of the field where all the
yeah."
11 defenders are coming from.
Just like we just said,
Is
what's the worst place you can be? In the middle of the field, because now everybody has an angle on
Yeah. You're gonna get your willy knocked off running in there with all those guys running pursuit angles. So that's not gonna be any fun.
you.
We had a kid, we were a couple weeks ago, one of our young kids caught a pass in the flat, and if he was about the 12-yard line, it was towards the end of the game. I don't know, there was, like, maybe 30 seconds left in the game, and we were down by a touchdown. We're at the plus 12-yard line. He catches the ball in the flat. If he just caught the ball and accelerated up the sidelines,
Mhm.
he he had probably about an 80% chance of scoring.
Wow.
Maybe more. I mean, he had a lane. There was one guy blocking out there. He would have run into some interference about the 3 or 4 yard line. At that point, like maybe spins or whatever makes a play. He
Mhm.
puts his foot in the ground. He was on the right side of the field. He puts his right foot in the ground and cuts right back into. Now, mind you, there was one defender over here getting blocked by a wide receiver. The other 10 dudes on the defense we're coming from inside out. He puts his foot in the ground and runs smack that back into him, and I think he got about 3 or 4 yards. We ended up
Ah,
scoring in the end of the game, which was exciting, but it could have happened with 30 seconds left in the game instead of with 5 seconds left in the game. He had just kept on running. But those young guys, man, it's
all the time.
I'm gonna cut back and outrun the entire team that has
Oh,
pursuit
no.
angles on me. End up bruised is what you're gonna end up. Not a
Well,
hero.
we lost the playoff game because of that. Like, we were in the second round. Guys, like, literally, if he just keeps straight, he gains more yardage. He probably jukes whoever it is. But he decides to put his foot in the ground, go back to the middle
Yeah.
of the field. Safety comes down and just lays a just monster hit, makes him fumble. There's the
Ugh.
game. And we knew the safety was a, like a dude. He was a player. And I'm
Yeah.
like, do not cut back to the middle of the field.
Uh, man, because I had my first year coaching out of school. I got out of college. I got a head coaching job, and I didn't know nothing about nothing. I readily admit that, but I thought I knew a little bit.
Mhm.
So we ran counter. I love counter. We running counter. We're running counter. We're I think we're 0-3, 0-4. We go up to play this team on the road, and we're down 4 points. We got the ball. We're driving. There's little time left on the clock, and I call counter. And my man, our young running back, gets the ball and we get a kick out and the tackle turns up in and seals it. And we were about the 10-yard line and there was nothing. I mean, you could see it's grass. There's nothing but grass. Outside the kick out, the corner who's way outside the hash, standing outside the hash. We're inside, we're in the middle of the field. And my man goes running right past the hole, right past the kick out block, and ran smack dab into the corner, standing out there all by himself, and we lose the game. And I was on the sidelines. I almost cried. I was so sad. It was the perfect play call that was not run perfectly. But those young guys, man, they don't
Yeah.
see it. And
Ah.
that's my fault because I didn't teach him it either. That's bad coaching on
Mhm.
me. I was the one who lost us the game, not him. Like he made a bad decision, but I never said make sure you get
Mhm.
inside the kick out, you know? And I hate losing games. I try not to lose games for the same reason twice, in my
Yeah.
life. And that's probably first few years I lost so many games that I got to be a pretty good coach at the end because I lost so much at the beginning. I didn't want to lose it like that anymore.
Yeah.
Golly. Oh man. All right. So Don, as we get close here to the end, we're about ready to wind up here. I always ask this question of everybody, and this is my favorite thing about the offensive line. They are the most entertaining group of people on the field. Yeah, the defensive backs can dance. We know that. The wide receivers can talk trash. The running backs are good looking. The quarterbacks are the good looking dudes. The linebackers, they like to just headbutt the telephone poles over in the corner.
Mhm.
And the defensive linemen, who knows what they're doing? They're probably just playing with their belly button
Yeah.
lint or whatever they're doing. But the offensive linemen, they're the ones having fun. You have any stories that you can enlighten
Whew.
us with that describe how much fun the offensive line? And I can't, it's not. I can't even imagine what the middle school offensive lineman guys are like. That
Well,
must be something.
well,
They're probably trying to dance. They think they're defensive backs. They're trying to learn how to dance, but they haven't figured out
well,
that point yet.
at the middle school level, the funniest thing is trying to see, when they lift the quarterback up in the air or
Oh,
whoever scored.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
And well, we have an offensive tackle he's bigger than most kids. He'll probably end up being one of those guys that goes off to college and stuff. He's a tall kid, kind of big. He wrestles too, which is good.
Mm.
So he's like, I'm the most athletic big guy on the team. And I'm like, okay, you're not, but okay. And like he has this thing, and he was like, well, next time we score, I'm gonna go lift up the QB and I'm just going. I was like, okay. I was like, your arm should probably not enough. So they score. He's immediately hauling down the field. I'm talking about running. I said, I've probably never seen him move that fast.
Yeah, he was excited
He
about the
gets down there.
celebration.
He gets down there. The little running back, he jumps up. And our running back, he's kind of low to the ground. He's a muscular kid. He jumps in the air. He misses the leverage, and they end up falling
Oh,
face
no,
first.
he got pancaked by the running back. Oh, man.
And
Oh,
so that's probably the worst one I've seen.
that's sad. He tried to do the Lion King and ended up getting pancaked. Oh, man. Did all of his buddies just haze him for the
Yeah. Well,
next
they're the type of kids when it happens, they all just ran and jumped on the pile.
oh, they dogpiled him after. Man, that's great. I love that. Well, so during the individual period, what are they talking about? What are they I know they're making fun of each other. What's the
Well, they have this thing, which is oddly enough, they talk about each other's ankles.
okay.
So, like, they think this is their gist. They'll be like, hey, coach, we know how athletic somebody is if we look at their ankle. And I said, well, I said, let me do this. I said, I know y'all's guards. I know y'all got fat ankles. They
Yeah,
laugh. They're like, coach, that's not funny. I'm like, yeah, it is. And I said, let me see, y'all offensive tackles. I said, let me make a list. Y'all probably are decent at basketball. And they
yeah,
was like, yeah. I said, y'all got long arms, but you're too slow to probably play defensive end.
yeah.
And like we have a whole list that we'll go down and joke about an individual. And like you'll just see them over there. Like some of them will start taking off their ankle braces because they don't want to look.
Don't wanna have fat ankles that are breaking, taking a break. We have our defensive coordinator, we always joke he could never sprain his ankle because it was so big. It went straight from leg into the ground. There was no way he was gonna ever twist an ankle.
Yeah,
I
they're fun.
subscribe to that theory, though. I think the skinnier the ankle, the more athletic you are.
You are absolutely right. I think about that too. I think it was it Shannon Sharp that said the same thing when he was talking
Oh,
about off linemen? Yep.
shoot, Shannon said a lot now, so like, yeah, I know you're a South Carolina guy, and you like, him being from South Carolina, that's kindred spirit being from South Carolina, but you gotta filter what Shannon says every once in a
Oh
while.
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
not sure not sure what I was going there. I mean, hey, and I've met Shannon before. He was our when I coached in the Army All-American game, he was our sponsor. He was our guy. I actually got a picture of Shannon together,
Okay.
him and I together. He was a nice dude. I mean, in person, really enjoyed
Mhm.
hanging out with him. But then he gets talking in front of that microphone, and sometimes I'm like, "Whoa, we need to pump the brakes there, man."
Filter. Filter.
But he's entertaining, that's for sure. He was entertaining at the
Mhm.
All-American game, man. He can I will say this, he's an A1 first class top shelf trash talker.
Mhm.
No doubt about it. And I entertaining for sure. So, well, I appreciate those stories and the poor middle school kids have fat ankles are just they're miserable going to practice knowing they're gonna get hammered for having fat ankles.
Yeah, that's
That's
these
rough.
kids are one of a kind. I will say this, like the new age kids, like I said, guys, some of the stuff that y'all do, I was like, was never heard of in practice.
Yeah.
Like you see
Practice
guys
they're
coming out.
They're coordinating their celebrations, they're figuring out which TikTok dance they wanna do
Mhm.
after practice or on the water break,
Yep.
and, there's I'm missing something in there about but then they're making fun of everybody's ankles.
Yes.
That's every day probably, I bet.
Every day.
Yeah, that's phenomenal. Well, Donovan, I appreciate you, man. I'm so thankful. Tell me a little bit about your level 99, where you're at, so if anybody's nearby, they can get a hold of you with your level 99 training.
So I actually I'm mobile, so I'm actually in Carolinas. So
Okay,
South Carolina, North Carolina is mostly where I'm at. I
okay,
did some working, so I'm actually in the AFCA for coaches. So you'll see me at the clinic in Charlotte in January.
okay.
Um, you can actually come out. Just kind of networking and getting stuff still out there. I tell people all the time, I have not arrived. And I tell people when you are a coach, you want to stay as humble and hungry as you can for the longest that you can. So, still working with guys. Like some days I'll work with middle school kids, and then other days I'll work with a linebacker to play for the Bears or something like it's just it fluctuates.
That's
And I
right.
think that actually helps me as a coach to keep me on my toes because you never know. When I was in college, we had guys that would come from some high schools that didn't know a thing,
Mhm,
and then
mhm.
coaches just kind of staggered, like, why didn't he know? Why didn't he
Yeah.
know that? They can't really adapt because they've never been, in that situation or coached extremely low levels, So I
I
think it all helps.
It's funny you say that. I one time I have had, some of the guys I played with in college are high level NFL guys now and have had experience at the highest of levels. So I'm sitting down talking to him one time. I said, "Man, it must be awesome coaching the dudes that get to your level. I mean, you got guys that are athletic and can jump up and grab a quarter off the back of a backboard and dunk it every which way but loose, and they're fast and they get up the field and the long arms and that must be awesome. He goes, not all the time. I go, what do you mean? He goes, if I tell you to stand at 12 and a half yards, I want you to stand at 12 and a half yards because that's where the routes are breaking. I need you at 12 and a half yards to interrupt that route and maybe pick a
Mhm.
football. He
Mhm.
goes, you'd be surprised how many people don't know where 12 and a half yards is on the football field. And I'm like, come
Yeah.
on, man, you're kidding me. He's like, no. In fact, more of them don't know where 12 and a half yards is than do. And I was like, it blew my mind because I was like, it doesn't change. It's
Mhm.
from middle school, fifth grade team all the way up to the all pro NFL guys.
Mhm.
All have the same issue of not doing what they're supposed to do when they're supposed to do it.
Yep, and I think that's a test. And I would say this akin to more basketball. I've heard it said, because if you've noticed, like the American style basketball has become like everybody's relying on athleticism. Nobody's really, learning the game, knowing when to do certain moves. Everybody just wants to be the most athletic. And that's trending over into football.
Mm.
You got guys that have let guys just go on because they're super athletic. And then when they hit a wall and they can't just dominate everybody, now you're stuck. And you'd be surprised like how many guys just running around. I've trained some defensive ends that are really good. And they'll be like, Coach, what's the C gap? And I'm like, oh, whoa, whoa. So how have you been doing this?
Mm, Gosh,
It's not, I understand exactly what he said.
it's hard to believe, right? It's hard to believe that they're that proficient at something and don't know the little things that you have to know that. If you have C gap,
Mhm.
if the coach tells you to crash C gap, you, you might want to know where that is. Might make you a little bit better player, or you're gonna give up touchdowns or
Yeah,
first
like
downs.
some days I'll go from training a guy and I'll have barrels and like I'll just go through gaps.
Mm.
And then, kind of teach them like, hey, this is A, this is B, this is
Oh,
C. We'll go number system. Like I do the whole nine, like if we have to,
yeah.
like because I feel like somewhere along the line, and I love coaching like with all my heart. I'm not even gonna lie. Like I could talk football like for 24 hours. But somewhere along the line, some people maybe lost the love for it, just doing it for a
Or didn't
paycheck
know. Yeah.
or didn't know. Yeah, something. And I'm like, if you don't know, like even sources like this, you got YouTube, you got, all kind of new
Yeah.
apps for coaching. Like
Yeah.
find out some way.
It's it's funny. Those coaches went into an enterprise that didn't have jerseys hanging on the wall and said, "Hey, I need a coach. Come on in." And that's how it happened. I've seen that. I've been around guys that's how they ended. They're like, "Hey, you ever thought about coaching football?" Well, I don't know anything about football. "Well, yeah, come on. You willing to do it? Yeah, come on." Part of that's good. You want to get the right guys on the bus and get the bus going in the right direction. And you can teach people how to coach skills and all that kind of stuff. But
Mhm,
I always call, the economic problem, the widget makers versus the
mhm,
farmers. The
mhm,
football coach is a widget maker, and you can't hire a farmer to make widgets. It don't work. It might work a little bit for a little while, but eventually it's not going to work out. So I always told our head coach, man, hire some widget makers. Don't hire
mhm.
farmers. We don't want a lot of farmers around here. We need widget makers.
Yep.
Man. Well, Donovan, I appreciate you, man. I am so grateful for you taking time out of your schedule to share with me and give me insights and share those insights with everybody else out there. And if you're in the Carolinas or you're in Charlotte during the AFCA convention, you want to stop in and get coached up on some football and check out Level 99 training, I encourage you to do so. I've really enjoyed talking to Donovan, and I look forward to this is the cool thing about what I'm doing is developing relationships with people all over the country and
Mhm.
internationally at this point. It's been a lot of fun doing this, and I look forward to reaching out to him again. And I got a brother that lives in Charlotte, so I might have to go sleep on
Okay.
his couch and hang out a little bit. So I appreciate you so much. And as we get out of here, I just want to remind everybody: if you master the trench, you'll win the war.
Yes, sir.
Hope you're enjoying trenchometry. Assuming that you are, please hit that like button and subscribe. Remember, master the trench, you win the war.